They said, "We choose to go to the moon, not because it is easy, but because it is hard." And that line is celebrated as profound, heroic, visionary. But think about what it reveals about humanity's priorities. Imagine if that same energy had been directed toward ending hunger, preventing needless suffering, ensuring shelter, healthcare, dignity, and basic security for every human being already alive. Imagine hearing instead, "We choose to end hunger, not because it is easy, but because it is hard. We choose to eliminate preventable suffering, not because it is profitable, but because conscious beings matter. We choose to ensure no child sleeps starving in the dirt, not because it brings glory to nations, but because compassion should come before spectacle." That would have been civilization acting morally instead of theatrically. Because going to the moon was never fundamentally about compassion. It was about ambition, prestige, conquest, symbolism, legacy. Humanity loves grand external achievements because they create the illusion of transcendence. They make people feel like the species is ascending towards something cosmic and meaningful. Meanwhile, the suffering of actual humans remains normalized as background scenery. That contradiction is impossible to ignore once you see it. Humanity will unite enormous resources, intelligence, labor, and political will to plant a flag on a lifeless rock millions of miles away, but somehow feeding starving people is treated as unrealistic, complicated, or economically inconvenient. We are told the moon landing represents the best of humanity. Why? Because humans reached another celestial object? Because we proved our technological power? What would actually represent the best of humanity is a civilization that refuses to tolerate preventable suffering among conscious beings already here. A civilization that measures success not by how far its rockets travel, but by how little unnecessary suffering exists within it. But suffering does not inspire people the way conquest does. Ending hunger does not produce the same romantic mythology as reaching for the stars. There is no cinematic glamour in sanitation systems, food security, mental health care, or poverty reduction. There are no dramatic speeches about ensuring children have stable lives. So, humanity romanticizes expansion instead. We are obsessed with leaving footprints on the moon while ignoring the people collapsing barefoot on Earth. And then people call this obsession hope. But what kind of hope prioritizes symbolic victories over conscious well-being? What kind of greatness dreams of colonizing Mars while millions cannot access clean water? What kind of species looks at a peaceful, lifeless universe and thinks we should spread suffering there too? The tragedy is not that the moon is empty. The tragedy is that humanity can mobilize extraordinary effort for abstract ambitions while treating the suffering of actual people as ordinary and inevitable. That is why the romanticization of humanity rings hollow. Because if humanity were truly as noble as people claim, then ending misery would not be secondary to exploration. Compassion would not come after spectacle. Human dignity would not be less inspiring than planting flags in dust. And yet, over and over again, humanity reveals what it actually worships: achievement, expansion, legacy, continuation, symbolism, not people. Actual people are too inconvenient, too expensive, too unspectacular. So the species reaches for the stars while stepping over suffering on the ground and calls itself enlightened for doing so.